Hey everyone, we are looking at the specs right now of the Emerson a100 and Emerson Mini a100. As you can see at the bottom there, I did forget to put the weight in. Weight on the full size is 4.8 ounces, and on the Mini we have 3.4 ounces. And as far as the rest of the specs there, you can go ahead and put this on pause so you can check that out there. That way I don't sound too jumbled and boring with all the numbers and whatnot. But just basically, I do want to just highlight that the steel is the same on both, 154 cm, and the blade thickness on both are the same at 0.125 inches. And of course the hardness the steel is heat treated to is also similar. So that is the specs there. Go ahead and pause that if you want to check that out more. And the rest of the video here, I will be talking about the Mini a100 as well as the full size. Now, as you can see here, we have the full-size a100 with the satin blade and the stonewash flats, stonewash. We got thumb disc, and as you see here, this is not like typical Emerson's with the chisel grind, but a conventional V grind. Although, because it is an Emerson and being so notorious for chisel grinds, it is still technically a chisel grind. Even though you have the conventional V, as you see here, you'll notice that on the back side here, you're missing the secondary bevel, as you see on the front side here, and it is even more pronounced on that of the Mini. So you can see that shining there, that secondary bevel missing on this side. So it is still a chisel grind when it comes down to the very edge, and you'll also notice that on the Mini here. And this one is obviously with the black coating. You'll see the secondary bevel shining, and on the back here, no secondary bevel. As far as comparing the two here, you will notice this one is quite a bit smaller, although blade thickness is the same on both. We do have G10 on both handles, although you'll see that this one is a special edition or whatnot with the, I believe it's tan G10. And this one appears to be more coarse. From a camera angle, you'll see kind of a wider pattern or a heavier grain on the large full-size a100, and you'll see a more tighter grain on that of the Mini with the black G10. But between the two, I have to say that the Mini a100 has the grippier G10, and I have heard on the forums that this may be because of the 2011 production Emerson's. G10, in my opinion, has always been notorious for being too grippy, in my opinion, for my pockets. I can't stand my pockets getting torn up from G10 knives, so I typically sway away from G10, and that is one of the main reasons why I have a preference for pretty much anything but G10, whether it be aluminum, titanium, or stainless steel, just for the ease of sliding in and out of the pocket without damaging them. You'll notice again here, the pivots are the exact same size. So you'll notice pivot size is the same. We got the same size thumb disc. We got the same size blade thickness. We even got the same size liners. Now the locking liners on Emerson's are titanium, and you'll notice on the lock bars, extremely aggressive jimping. In my opinion, too aggressive for my taste. I can get over them, and I have little loopholes to avoid that. Pushing right against, if they're not broken in, is really damaging on your thumbs. But once you break the knife in, as this full size here, it's not too bad, and you do start to build calluses on your thumbs. And although since this one here is brand new, is a little bit sticky. You can hear that when I disengage it, that little click sound. And to avoid chewing up my thumb on these, what I'll do is I'll use my index finger, the pad of my index finger, and I'll push down on the liner, and then I'll use my thumb to push that up just a little bit, and I'll turn it around to close it. But like I said, once the lock breaks in, wears in, that isn't normally an issue. Now you'll see I already gave you guys the specs. This is the difference in actuality from a visual standpoint of how much longer it is. You'll also see that the full size is wider, and you will also notice that the screws are the same size. We got the same size pocket clip, and so really the only difference in size is the length of the blade and just the width and thickness of the G10. Everything else is virtually the same. The stainless steel liner on the opposing lock side, I don't think I mentioned that. So we got the titanium locking liner, and then the opposing liner is stainless steel. Early lockup on both. You'll see jimping here on the bottom, and you also have some jimping here on the top. Not functional. I mean, I can feel it, but my thumb just slides right over it on both. And when I'm holding these knives, my most typical grip is my thumb over the thumb disc. One thing I do like about the thumb disc is it creates a surface for you to put the pad of your thumb on. So when you're pushing through cuts, you have that extra security of this wider surface. Rather than just having your thumb on the blade, you have this entire disc to kind of set your thumb on, which I like for cutting. It feels very comfortable. And I believe it was Victorinox fan who brought this to my attention. It is sentiments that I had already felt, but he verbalized them. And that is that knives with a lack of ergonomics tend to be the most ergonomic. And I say that, that kind of conflicts that statement. Now, these knives, I wouldn't say per se are ergonomic, but due to their lack of ergonomics, these knives will virtually fit in anyone's hand, because there is, it's pretty much one size fits all. Versus, a knife with very aggressive set of ergonomics may fit a different size hand better, or a different form of hand better than another, where these ones, since they are straight, no matter whose hands they're in, you're going to kind of grab that knife and it's going to work out to how your hand feels best on it. And so that's one advantage, I think, that these knives with a lack of ergonomics have. And I'd have to say that that's very true and similar for that of the Sebenza. You'll notice here, size comparison, the full-size A100 is very similar, almost, in the sense of design, being that the Sebenza is very straight. There are a little bit more curves to the Sebenza than that of the Emerson A100s, but you'll see that they're fairly similar, as in they're both very slim package, as you see here. And that will bring to my attention that I'd have to say between the large, or the full-size A100 and the Mini, I'm probably going to keep the Mini, and that's just because, if you can already see here, these are, although very different in nature, one being a liner, one being a frame lock, or a reeve integral lock, and of course, all the details are different, blade and whatnot. They're very similar in profile, very slim, close to the same size, and if I had to choose between the two, what I'm going to carry my Chris Reeve. And so with that being said, I'm probably going to keep my Mini A100 and be ridding of my large A100, my full size. And also kind of ironic is that this small A100, me comparing the large Sebenza to the full-size A100, if I had my small 21, I would easily compare it to the Mini A100. And in that regard, I'd probably still keep the small Sebenza over the A100, but given the price difference and the fact that this is of another company and the designs are different, I do like the Mini A100, and I think I'm gonna hold on to this one. I do kind of like the thickness. I mean, the handles are pretty thick on these knives. The full size being even thicker, much thicker than a Sebenza even. It's not quite as comfortable, I would say, as a Sebenza, but I mean, it really does fill your hand. So if you do like that, that is a plus on these knives. This one is a bit thinner, and I think for me, this fits my hand just perfect. And I think it's a really good size. It's very robust for the size blade, for a 3-inch blade. So, between these two blades, like I said, the large A100 is a nice knife. If I didn't own a Sebenza, I would probably be hanging on to it. This one in particular is very pretty with the Tangy 10 and the satin blade, which I do prefer over the murdered out Mini A100. But like I said, just given size, that's enough for me to want to just keep this one over the large, despite the aesthetics that I prefer more. As you can see here, tip up only, right hand only, so sorry lefties, and sorry for people who like tip down only. Does not apply to these knives. You'll see that there is a lanyard hole, and I do have lanyards on both of these currently. You'll notice 2 screws here, 2 screws on the back, kind of hiding under the clip. 2 screws, 2 screws, and same size pivot holding these knives together. G10 back spacers. Thumb discs, jimping, single titanium locking liner, opposing stainless steel liner, conventional V-grinds but with a chisel grind on the secondary bevel, and overall, very nice knives. Those are my impressions on the A100s, guys. Thanks for watching.